Hello and happy 162 game day, everyone. And welcome to the upper deck. I'm Lynn, and next to me is Ciarra. And just a few moments ago, the Yankees completed their 162nd game and thus the end of the regular season for them. They defeated Baltimore. And as I know everyone that's listening so far knows, the game is still in progress between the Jays and the Rays, but barring any sort of, I don't even know if a miracle will do it, the Jays are going to win. But the great news is that if it were not for this stupid tiebreaker thing, yes, I'm calling it stupid because I'm a child. We won, they won, we remain asterisk first place is what I'm calling it. So we had the same regular season record as the Blue Jays, and given where we have been, especially since August till now, I'm good with that. And we still have the playoff berth to look forward to. Still working out who that's going to be. It's like it's like three possibilities. I think Ciarra, you're good. Your mind is good with all of that. So before we roll on in, hey, first attendance award goes to Mr. Barrows. How are you, Mr. Barrows? Great to see you. And there's my sister Karen. Jordan, good to see you. Laughing at the Mets. That's not nice. And Shayna, the ray of sunshine is here. Shayna, you're going to put some sunlight on us tonight? I don't think there's so much to feel cloudy about. And FJ is here. Great to see you too. And as people get out of the funk of the last pitch, I'm sure others will join in. So we're going to start like we always do with the trivia question of the week. And so I'm going to put it up here. So here's Spencer's question. Game 162 began with questions. Will the Yankees win the AL East? No. Will they play a wild card series? They were in a similar position for Game 162 in 2021. This time, a second wild card spot was at stake. But first they had to face the Red Sox at Fenway and win their spot in the second wild card series. The Yankees did win 1-0 thanks to a walk-off winning run. Which Yankee scored that winning run in 2021? And we will have the answer for you at the end of the show. And thank you, Spencer, as always. So, all right. We typically go right into this right now. So rear view mirror, it doesn't really matter, does it? The season's behind us. We did so well with the last two series, and that's why we stayed statistically tied for first place with the Blue Jays. But everything's about looking forward. But first, Ciarra, anything in the rear view that you want to note?
I mean, yeah, let's take a look in the rear view just for old time's sake. And just to note that the Yankees, so the last week of baseball, they've played incredibly well. They swept the White Sox. They just swept the Orioles. Going into today's game 162, the team's batting line, they had a 261 average, 370 on-base percentage, 429 slugging, and a 798 OPS. So the entire team, for the most part, was firing on all cylinders. Aaron Judge obviously continued to dominate. He's up to 53 home runs, I believe, to end the season. So we saw a really solid outing by Cam Schlittler yesterday. Just amazing to see such a young player be developed by the Yankees and actually just produce. And just he reminds me so much of Garrett Cole. I don't like comparing players, but he reminds me so much of him, the way he pitches, his attitude, all of it, right? Mm-hmm. It's hard not to look in the rear view like for the full season too, because we are tied with the Blue Jays, right, statistically. However, they hold the tiebreaker. And the Yankees can only be mad at the Yankees because not only did the June swoon and July swoon, whatever you want to call it, they just played terrible through like the summer. They let the Blue Jays beat them up all season long. So There was a point in the season where I didn't even think you and I would be sitting here having a conversation about a wild card because they played so bad in June and July. But August to now, they're one of the best teams in MLB. It's almost like they played three different seasons of baseball. The first third of baseball, they were incredible. The second third, they were trash. And the last third, they, again, were really good. So hopefully they continue with the momentum into Tuesday. And honestly, I think that the wild card and the momentum is on our side. I was honestly worried that if they had a whole week off, that Aaron Judge would get cool, that all the guys that are kind of like firing on all cylinders right now would cool down. And I just think, that just only having one day off might actually be in our favor.
Yeah, and I don't think it's any. By the way, I threw the trivia question up for Karen because she got kicked off for a Japanese commercial. Those ads are annoying. I'm sorry. So I'm giving Karen a chance to read it. There we go. I don't think it's a coincidence, Ciarra, that for this last part of the last third that you're referring to, Judge and Stanton were both healthy for the majority of that time. We had Big G out with the tennis elbow, and then we had Judge out right after that with Big G filling in. And we saw Big G out in the field, which is quite the weird thing to see these days. And so each of those thirds had consequences, and the last third was the best of consequences. But, and the team did what they could when Judge was out. Last year when, or was it the year before with Toegate and Dodger Stadium? Maybe that was the year before. Yeah. The whole team slumped then. It was like Judge was out and forget about everything. We can't do it. It wasn't that this year. And so I saw that as a plus. They really, and I think that has something to do with this particular roster, which was not the roster last year, let alone in 23-24. So I want to say hi to Jonathan and Dev who've walked in. So I sarcastically have, a heartbeat it back there. And because I figured either way, it's going to be relevant and I'm going to be able to explain myself. Not that anyone's wondering why, because I put weird stuff up all the time. And if you watch the show, you know this. But it's like, okay, that's my heartbeat during the game when I saw the Blue Jays score early on. And then it was again when I saw the Rays getting really close to them. And, at the end of it, my heart is fine and feeling fine because it all ended okay. We're in the postseason. It's not in the way we want. We always want the brightest, shiny thing available. We're not going to get it. But I'm kind of okay with, even more okay about it, knowing that we could still say that we got all the way up to first place, which we did. So good rear view mirror there. So let's just head on over to news and views, and we're going to take news and views a little bit wider scale this time because it's the end of the season. That's what game 162 is. It's the end of the season, of the regular season. And so everything we do in our typical parts of the show, we're going to do with the whole season point of view. So, Ciarra, you and I saw the same stats about the Yankees record. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like we just talked about in the rearview mirror, when you look back to the summer, to June and July, it was like, what is this team doing? They are horrible. Like, they can't play defense. They're not hitting the ball. Pitching was a hot mess outside of Max Fried and Carlos Rodon. I mean, to give the team a little credit, though, we started the season without Luis Gil and Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt came back, and then we lost him again to Tommy John surgery. We just recently got Luis Gil back. Will Warren is still a baby, so he's kind of all over the place. And we didn't get Cam Schlittler until the back part of the second half of the season. So it was a little bit of a battle through the summer. But when you look back to August 11th, the Yankees have the best record in the major leagues going into today. Obviously, today things might have changed a little bit, but going into today, they were 31-12 since August 11th. That's 4.5 games better than the next closest team, which is the Philadelphia Phillies, who were 27-17. And the Yankee starters had the best ERA in that span with a 2.82 ERA. So that itself, and just the way that they've been playing for the last month, just kind of speaks volumes to the resilience of this team. Like, they bounced back from a horrible summer, and they've made a statement. Like, they are here to play. And if I don't care what anyone says, this roster is built so much better than the roster that we took to the 2025 World Series. I truly believe if the Yankees make it to the World Series this time around, that it'll be a different story.
I'm doubling down on that, Ciarra. I absolutely get the vibes of a World Series team here. Not going to compare it to any other era, but we somewhere along the way, whether by happy accident and circumstance or not, we picked up players that have made the difference in one way or another, sparked the energy, were clutch in those needed situations, were the second man behind so that they could platoon anywhere. So the roster got more and more well-rounded as the season went along, and that's also what really helped us through the cycle 1 and cycle 2 of the season that you were breaking down earlier. And yeah, Karen saying, Belly is a perfect example. It's just, Belly is an example. I think that there's some guys in the pen that we'll talk about that are examples. So we're built for it. It's just a matter of getting through those 3 wild card games, who they're going to be against, and inch ourselves closer.
So it should be Yankees, Red Sox for wild card, and then Cleveland and Detroit will play each other because Seattle has the bye and Toronto has the bye. So if the Yankees can make it past Boston, they will see Toronto in the ALDS. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't care who. I shouldn't say I care who we play because we just play who's in front of you. But I would love to see the Mariners and the Yankees in the ALCS. I want to see Aaron Judge versus Cal Raleigh. First of all, that would sell for baseball in general. But also, I want to put an end to this goddamn MVP talk, okay? And also, so over in Seattle right now, those people over there think that Cal Raleigh is like their new Ichiro and that he is going to mean more to them than Ichiro did. So I want to see that matchup. I really do. I want to put the real MVP versus the fake MVP and see how it shakes out.
Yeah. And, part of the problem I have with that whole thing, well, first of all, the media is always going to make a big deal out of like a split pinky now. So, that's their job. That's what they're going to do. But this line that's going across all the channels of like, Raleigh's a catcher. Cracks. Yeah. Thank you, Ciarra. Because it's like, and Judge is 6'6". What the hell? What? So there seem to be pushing this narrative that Raleigh deserves it more because of his position. And so I'm not buying that. I don't know who the MLB writers are that are going to be voting. I'm sure their identity is being protected for their own safety at this point because there's so much controversy. But I really just hope that they look at the numbers because the numbers don't lie and the records broken don't lie. And if you put them side by side, it is Aaron Judge. And as Jonathan said earlier, he already is the AL batting champ. Mm-hmm. That's uncontested and undebatable. So, but he's got to be the MVP.
Yeah. So it's crazy to me. So the same writers who back in 22. When Judge broke the home run record, the same writers who said Judge should not get the MVP based simply on home runs are the ones who are now saying Raleigh should get it based simply on home runs. And I think that's ass backwards, in my opinion. I couldn't think of another word, honestly. So they're pushing Raleigh because he broke the record for catchers and he broke the record for switch hitters, right? However, the thing that frustrates me the most about this in general, they kept pitching to him. They never stopped pitching to him. To this day, Aaron Judge gets intentionally walked. The Chicago White Sox, who were not playing for anything last week, intentionally walked Aaron Judge. Like, come on. They're not the same player. So when Judge hit his 51st home run, he became one of 4 players in MLB history to have 4+ seasons of 50+ home runs. He joined Babe Ruth, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. So 2 guys who are known for steroids, and Babe Ruth, who no one has touched his records ever. There's no comparison. Cal Raleigh, this is the only season he's ever done this. And I'm not discrediting what he's doing. I understand being a catcher is probably the hardest day-to-day position. But, like, let's be real here. He went from hitting, 35 home runs last year to 60 this year. Judge has consistently given you 40 to 50 home runs every season. He is the most feared hitter in baseball. They're not the same player. And if you look at just numbers in general, Judge leads in average. He leads in on-base percentage. He leads in OPS. He leads in slugging. The only thing Raleigh has on him is home runs and RBI. And when you hit more home runs, you obviously have more RBI. Everything else Judge leads in. And even if you look at the advanced stats, Judge even leads in the advanced stats. So, and his WAR is like a 9.6, which is unheard of. Like, he literally put up video game numbers even in a season where he was injured.
Yep.
Exactly.
And yep. FJ, yeah, you're 100% right. So, let's also, everyone looks to Judge for his Powerball and his home runs, which we understand why, but he's also stolen more bases this year than I would have liked, because it makes me nervous every time.
Right.
He's been hitting dingers and getting on first and second. And if teams are not just putting him on base automatically, then you have the umpire behind the plate, like yesterday's gentleman.
Oh my God.
And who had the nerve, the unmitigated gall to call those 2 strikes against him. So that they have that against him. He has that against him too. So, but he's going to, I just feel like he deserves it, and there'll be all sorts of bedlam over the story when it breaks. Does anyone know, Ciarra, do you know when they typically let that out?
November 13th.
Oh, so you don't know the MVP of the season until after the World Series?
No, we will be getting ready to carve our turkeys and to say thanks. We're going to be getting ready to say we are thankful for the 2025 World Series champions, the New York Yankees, when we find out who the MVP is for both sides.
I must have really just tried to not think about that. Wow. Okay. That's just horrendous.
It's so far away.
It's so far away. Everyone's going to be full of tryptophan in their veins, and they're going to be like, oh, great. Okay, good. Yay, Judge. No, it's not. Hey, Tats. So Tats was in the house today. So thanks for helping with the luck there, Tats. I kind of think I might have wanted you down in Tampa because could have used you there for some luck against the Jays. But thanks for bringing the luck up in the house. And yeah, we're just breaking it all down and talking about the season overall. So let's go to the part. Okay, so let's go to news and views. Is it me you're laughing at?
Just in general.
just remember that there's like that cardiac arrhythmia going on behind me. I am not well. The season has just made me all sorts of all over the place. So for the news and views, we're going to want to talk about the season at large. And Ciarra just talked about the best record for the team itself. And I'd like to talk about, whoops. Oh, wait a second. Oh, no, this can't be. Here it is. So, season's over, 162 games done. Let's give Aaron Boone his end of school year rankings and ratings. Try to put on your objective cap and try to remember this Aaron Boone.
It's so frustrating because the Yankees record is exactly why Aaron Boone keeps his job year after year. Because yet again, they have a winning season. Yet again, they're going back to the playoffs, which we want. I'm not complaining. But as long as he keeps doing that, he will continue to have a job. And I don't know how I feel about that. If he could actually take us all the way and win the World Series, I might feel a little different. But I still have a bad taste from the 2024. Yeah, 2020. Yeah, what year are we in? 2024 World Series. I'm going to give him a B- because the one thing I do like about Boone is he is ride or die for his players. When the umps are stupid, he's going to let them know. And I do appreciate that about him because there are a lot of lackadaisical managers now. I feel like you don't get those Lou Piniella type of guys really anymore. And Boone, once he knows like he's getting thrown out, he's going to get his money's worth. Yesterday, he showed it yesterday once again. And honestly, round of applause for him because that was trash call on Judge. And I think it was Paul O'Neill in the booth who was saying, like, I wish we could throw you out of the game to the home plate umpire. I'll give him a B-. The Yankees got 94 wins this season, and they're going to the playoffs, so I guess we'll just have to see what happens.
Yeah, and I wish some of these umps would go elsewhere for good. And that shot there on the screen is from yesterday. That was home plate umpire Ramon DeJesus. And that's Boone giving him the business, saying, "This is Aaron Judge. You're doing this too."
He's 6'7". That's still my favorite.
So funny. So B- from Ciarra for our manager. I am going to give. I'm going to give Boone. It would have been a B- heading into August, but I'm actually upping it up to a solid B, because he's had more presence and he's had more candor. I don't know if he went to some sort of communications training, but he's been much more open, much more comfortable in his own skin the closer we got to 162. And he really is talking very specifically about the players and not the yabber dabber. Even on Talking Yanks, he's not trying to pull the wool over their eyes, which he knows he can't do. And I think that his roster construction has improved since the beginning of August. And I just wish a little less Volpe, a little more everybody else. But I think that he was managing like a good manager, not an excellent manager, not the manager you want as you head into the postseason necessarily. But he did get us there. He did get us close a couple of times. And so
I will say this. So last postseason, up until the World Series, Boone had a perfect, if you could say a perfect game for a manager, managing each game up until the World Series, he had a perfect score. It wasn't until the World Series when he fell apart. And Dave Roberts, who honestly isn't that great in my opinion, he just outmanaged him. If Boone can channel whatever he did last postseason, but all the way through this time, the Yankees, they can do it. The team is on fire right now. They got hot at the right time, I feel like. I know it's frustrating that we didn't win the AL East, but they're hot right now. So if Boone can use that momentum and channel himself from last season, well, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think what's going to help them with that mental way of being is, I'm going to keep saying it because I'm hanging my hat on it to make me feel okay going to sleep tonight. They did end in first place statistically.
Mhm.
And so that has to go a good distance for this team, knowing that. And stupid tiebreaker thing aside, yes, I'm for, and I'm saying stupid tiebreaker. And so, and I feel like this team holds each other up better than, the team since Rizzo left. I'll just say it like that. I think that even despite Giancarlo Stanton being out for a good amount of time, Judge being out for a good amount of time, they had their seconds in command, and the Bellies and the Chisholms and Grandpa Cole is still in that dugout a lot, and talking to everybody who will listen about whatever he wants to talk about to them. So I think the team is solid and has the camaraderie vibe, at least, that has been missing for a few seasons. And that makes a difference. History tells us that. And I just want to take a pause from content just because Donnie put this in the chat. Hey, prayers up for you, Donnie. We wish you the best and a good outcome. And keep us posted if you're able to, because the show isn't going away, even when the Yankees finally go to sleep for the winter. But all best wishes to you. So I don't see any grades in the chat for Aaron Boone. This is your moment, everybody.
I saw Karen's grade. She said a C plus, I think she said, back a little further.
Oh, okay. Karen didn't even grade on a curve. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and here's Jonathan saying B plus. Okay, so let's see who we have. There's Karen, C plus. Let's go down. Let's go down. You guys, I thought I was a hard grader.
FJ just said C.
Donnie. Yes, Boone did have a season. Oh, you meant an A season.
Yes, Boone was there.
Okay. All right. Well, we asked for it. We got it from you. And wow, Donnie's really okay, pressing the narrative. Cashman did great revamping the pen at the deadline. You know what? I'll say on paper he did. Is it playing out the way that the paper, suggested? In some ways, not always, and for the most part, not as consistent as I would have liked. But that's fair. He did. I still remember the four of them sitting on the bench in the bullpen, not being used, their first time with us.
Yeah,
that was their welcome. All right.
You know what? I remember the day after the deadline in Miami, which Miami is a house of horrors for the New York Yankees in general. But I remember that day after the deadline, every player the Yankees traded for contributed to that ugly loss. And I was like, wow, this is how the rest of the season's going to go. We were all so excited the day before, but obviously they turned it around since then, and it's looked a lot better.
No, hey Karen, don't feel bad. You're right in line with the majority of the group. I'm looking at the average, and we're Ciarra. You and I are we have the best bell curve, because we're looking in the middle C's. Unless Donnie factors in with his soul.
He's a teacher's pet.
All right, so let's talk about here's a hot topic I do want to put out there. Convince me. Let's play devil's advocate, because I know I'm talking with friends here who have to work at this, and we went into it a little bit at the beginning of the show, but I'm not done. Convince me why Aaron Judge is not the AL MVP.
So if I had to put on my baseball writer's cap for a second,
yeah,
and pretend like I actually believe what I'm saying, I would say, being a catcher is the hardest position day in and day out, right? And then being able to get up to the plate and hit 60 home runs, which has never been done by a catcher or a switch hitter, is pretty impressive. I The Mariners just made the wild card in the playoffs for the first time since, or they clinched the division for the first time since like 2001. I feel like that's correct. If I'm not correct, somebody just tell me. I might have just made that up. But because of that, he is, when you look at MVP, you have to look at not just the player, but what they mean to the team. Would the team be as good with or without them? And the Mariners would not be as good without Cal Raleigh. Julio Rodriguez for the first half of the season wasn't really contributing much, and he's supposed to be their star player. So that is why Cal Raleigh should be MVP. I'm going to take that hat off now because I don't like it.
Did you feel yucky saying it?
I feel like I cheated on Judge.
Didn't mean to make you feel yucky. It was just an experiment because of all the ridiculousness we talked about at the top of the show. I mean, I think one thing we hadn't said about Judge yet is that he's going to be the third player in MLB history to hit 50 or more home runs and win a batting title. The others were Mickey Mantle in 1956 and Jimmy Fox in 1938. So, there's all of these records in the oldest MLB team in the league, going back decades and decades, and he's smashing them. So I just don't see how this is going to be a question. And I'm quite annoyed that I have to wait till November, that they're going to have this in their pocket. Seems ridiculous to me. And yes, Donnie, we are aligned. He should get the MVP. And Michael's saying just on stats alone, absolutely. So, all right. So now we're going to move to another. Lynn didn't take a nap today. So let's talk about the players' regular season report card.
Dripping Caballero in that picture.
I know. What's happening there? It's a different kind of ripping off of the shirt than what happened with Altuve in Houston. This is okay. All right. So this is what we're calling the usual what's hot, what's not, who's hot, who's not, who's meh, the season edition. So think about it, chat, as we go through. So Ciarra, for the overall season, who are your hotties?
I mean, the most obvious answer here is Aaron Judge, right? We just talked about at the top of the show how he has literally put up video game numbers from April through September. This guy never slowed down. He got injured, came back, and it was like he never missed a day. Like, absolutely insane numbers by Judge this season. His fourth 50-plus home run season, leads in average, leads in on base, slugging, OPS. He has over a 1,000 OPS in September. Like, for the entire season, he has a 9.6 WAR. Chef's kiss. Aaron Judge, the fact that we got to watch him play day in and day out, we are so spoiled as Yankee fans when it comes to Aaron Judge. Now, unfortunately for Judge, he has this thing hanging over his head. He does not perform well in the playoffs. Will this be the season that he can continue the momentum? And this is why I think the wild card is actually really good for the New York Yankees, because he doesn't have a chance to sit for a week. That momentum should carry with him. But will this be the playoffs that Judge finally gets it? Will he have his A-Rod 2009 moment? Only time will tell.
Yeah, I think that he is a different Judge this year. Mm-hmm. I think he came back from that injury as if it never happened. There was no residue on him with it. He is playing a different kind of baseball. All the records, in front of him that he might not have yet are really set aside. He's just looking, to get an ump to call a strike and a ball appropriately, and not get, put base on balls automatically. But he is, I never thought I would see Judge as a small ball guy. And he's doing it so well. I'd like to back off again with the stolen bases just a bit. But you know what? He's not having a problem with it. So I think that he has a larger group with him around him this season than in the past several. He's always had Big G and he had Rizzo for a long amount of time. And those were his, his people. But he really has a wider net. And the fact that he has some guys that just flat out admire him because they've watched him for years before they were, even broke into the minors. He's getting the support in from his colleagues in a different kind of way, which I think is lifting him up. He's human. How could that not lift him up and remind himself that he could do all the things? So Aaron Judge 100%. And I'm just going to do a spoiler alert that everything Ciarra's going to say for her hobby, I agree with. So I saw hers and I'm like, well, I don't have to say anything.
Yeah, and to your point, before I move on to the next person, the team as a whole is just better constructed, right? Like, I know there was a lot of talk in the offseason about, do we want to pay Juan Soto $100 billion for the rest of his life? Or do we want to go with plan B and try to actually fully construct this roster, right? Leaving out third base, because I swear to God, Cashman forgot that we needed a third baseman, but that's whatever. There's just more depth. It's not just one or two superstars. Our 1 through 6, I feel like could go toe-to-toe with any lineup any day now. Our 7, 8, 9, they're a little iffy at times, but they're still better than most of the ones out there. So just in general, Judge has more support going into the playoffs. And I feel like Giancarlo Stanton has more support going into the playoffs. It doesn't all fall on his shoulders this season, and I think that's very important. With that being said, next up on our hot list is Ben Rice. Ben Rice came into the 2025 season not guaranteed a spot on this roster, but he was hitting the ball so freaking hard in spring training that they gave him a spot. And he wasn't just given playing time. Like, he earned it, and he earned more of it throughout the season at first base, at DH, at catcher. And you know what? When Giancarlo Stanton came back, they didn't just take his playing time away. He still made his way to the lineup because he was still getting on base. He was still producing. There was one game against the Orioles this season where I swear to God, Ben Rice won the game by himself. I don't know where he fits in next season because obviously we have a DH. I don't know what the plan is for catcher. First base is looking like that's his option. So the only thing I ask for him is to get some work in the offseason, because he's not terrible, but he's not Goldschmidt. But Ben Rice gets a hot for me for the entirety of the season.
Yep, I'm right there in line with you. I think that even though Belly could shift over to first, we need him more so in the outfield. And Rice has had more playing time at first base than Belly has. And I know that there's been talk of like, oh, Aaron Judge should be the first baseman. No. I don't even know like what the logic would be behind that. He's going to be still DHing part of the time, but he's our right fielder. There's just nothing happening with that. So, but in terms of catchers, I don't know. They might need to, not necessarily want to keep him at between the two, because I don't know about our catching depth, and that's where the hot stove is going to come into play.
See, I personally would love to see them get rid of Wells and Ciarra and sign Adley Rutschman, but that's me personally.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen. So.
Right. Yeah. And those are the things that we're going to like whine about on Sundays during the off season, because catching has to be paid attention to. Mm-hmm. And now that Rice has become this thing of like glory, I don't think he should be platooning. I think that he has earned a spot, and let him stay at that spot. And what he's doing with the bat is just astounding. I don't even know when he had a definable, slump of any real kind. So I'm with you 100% on him, and he's so young. So we will have him for so long. And Cashman and Steinbrenner should love that because that helps with the wallet. And they just need to pay him more.
Yeah, and before we move into the next player, so Ben Rice is one of 7 players to hit more than 20 home runs this season for the Yankees. He hit 26, so shout out to him for that. I'm going to keep going down the line with position players before I jump into my pitchers who I think are hot for the whole season. Trent Grisham. I don't know how anybody can not give Trent Grisham love at this point. I know at one point in the season we were like, oh man, Trent Grisham's reverting back to the pumpkin that he was before, but I was wrong personally. First of all, this is the best season he's ever had in his career. Career high home runs. Obviously, he's playing pretty much every day. I don't hate him as the leadoff hitter at this point. And he gives you gold glove center defense every single day. I am manifesting a world where the Yankees re-sign Grisham and Cody Bellinger. I'm going to get some heat for this one. At this point, the Yankees should just trade Jason Dominguez because they've made it very clear how they feel about him. And honestly, Grisham, Belly, Judge, it's one of the best outfields in baseball.
Right.
Why mess up something that's not broken? Why fix something that's not broken?
That's right.
Grisham should be a New York Yankee.
Yeah, and give Dominguez a chance to be a superstar because he has it in him. So, and New York is just not the place. So, all right. So, I'm looking for the one I wanted to say to you.
Listen, he only made like $5 million this year. Like that's so cheap.
Yeah, they got to pay up. He needs more zeros. And Donnie, are you forgetting Anthony Rizzo? Because Anthony Rizzo was a very
also let's not like listen. I'm not a big Mark Teixeira fan, but we can't disrespect what Mark Teixeira did. You know what I mean? Like he was a big part of that 2009 World Series roster. Just saying.
Yeah, and boy, there's a lot of people saying that Grisham shouldn't or isn't coming back, and I don't see a world where that's going to happen. First of all, to give him more dollars is not going to break the bank because we acquired him for cheap as it was, and he reminds me of a certain other center fielder named Brett Gardner, who was clutch in every situation, had his spotty moments, wasn't the best on the stats in terms of, all of the numbers, but he always came through. He read pitches well, and he knew when to swing and when to not. And you need his glove in the outfield. The plays he made just in this series against the Orioles, the second one, the most recent one this week, especially, and the fact that he does put up those offensive numbers when it matters, especially. No, I think he's worth resigning almost as much as Belly. If I had to choose, it would be Belly then Grisham, but there's enough money for both of them, and we're getting rid of some others. So, all right. And then your next one, your next player, your last player before we go to the pitchers.
We have 2 more before we go to pitchers. So Cody Bellinger.
Oh, I feel like we talked about him because go ahead.
We kind of did because we talked about him together with Trent Grisham. Mm-hmm. But can you believe we only gave up Cody Poteet to get Cody Bellinger because the Cubs wanted him gone that bad? In the season that Cody Bellinger is having, he's been so consistent. And listen, Cody Bellinger is typically a very streaky player. He's been so consistent. Like even when it felt like he was slumping, he came out of it relatively quickly. Very consistent, very clutch when you needed him to be. Another Gold Glove elite defender, whether you put him in right field, left field, first base, it didn't matter where you put him. He was getting the job done and then some. Another leader in the clubhouse. He's very good friends with Aaron Judge, very happy to play alongside Aaron Judge, very vocal about the 2017 MVP that Judge was robbed of. And I think that's why I love him so much because he's just like really stuck up for Judge there. Cody Bellinger. So unfortunately, he's going to cost because he's going to opt out of his contract and he is a client of everybody's favorite agent. Hopefully though I feel like he wants to be here. His dad played for the Yankees. He's having an amazing season. There's a very good roster around him. So I'm hoping the Yankees can work something out with him because I would hate to see him or Grisham walk.
Yeah, and FJ's agreeing. He's worth it. I think if they're going to open up their wallet for anyone who's already on the team, Belly would be one of the guys because the fans love him, and he's consistent. He's a clubhouse guy, and yes, it's so clear. He was immediately comfortable in the pinstripes, and a lot of that had to do with growing up as a kid, like Ciarra just said, with his dad being on the team. He knows the culture, he knows the organization, so it was a seamless slide in, and there's no way that we could get rid of him. And Bellinger could get as high as 200 million. I'm not mad at that at all because he's young. He's still young, and we still have good years out of him. I don't think we could lose him or afford to lose him, but let's see the heartache and stress and Rolaids we take in the off season. Okay, and your last player.
Yes. So my last guy, he might shock some people, but I feel like Paul Goldschmidt was really impactful for the most part this season, right? I was conflicted when the Yankees signed him in the offseason. He's 39 years old, coming off the worst season he's ever had. But we're talking about a gold glover at first base who the difference when he's there versus Ben Rice. The first half of the season, he was very impactful offensively. Second half, especially this last third, he's kind of like tailed off. He dealt with some knee stuff. But that veteran presence has made a huge difference, in my opinion, especially for a young guy like Rice. And I truly believe going into the postseason, having a guy like Paul Goldschmidt on your roster can make such a huge difference. Now, I don't think he'll be on this team next year. They only have him for one season, and I think he was just a stopgap. But I'm glad the Yankees brought him aboard. Geriatric and all, Jordan. He did his thing, and I was pretty impressed overall for this season.
Yeah, it for me it comes down to I'm with you in feelings, Ciarra, but feelings. But he is not a fully both side player, which is by my go-to complaint for a few guys we're going to talk about tonight. Why can't we have both? And he's just not been producing consistently since we got him in that respect. So I just think perhaps it might be time for Goldie to go elsewhere or find a bench coach position or a hitting coach position somewhere. But I wouldn't be mad if he stayed. So that's why, I said that I was aligned with your choices.
I really wouldn't be surprised if he retired after this season. He's turning 40. He's had a great career. Like you can't complain about the career he had. So I think that this was a stopgap both for the New York Yankees and for Paul Goldschmidt to just have one last ride. We'll see what happens.
And he had a good ride. He did good things for us.
Yeah.
I'm not mad that we got him. All right. And your pitchers.
All right. So Cam Schlittler, I felt like we had to give this kid some love. He's so
absolutely
young, so good. He doesn't get rattled. He hits 100 miles per hour and just a New York Yankee developed pitcher. He is what Luis Gil was supposed to be, right? Unfortunately for Luis Gil, he has been riddled with injury. I partially blame the Yankees for that, NGL. But Schlittler is what you expected Luis Gil to be. And to me, there's no way he's not on this postseason roster. Inexperienced or not, just for the simple fact that he does not get rattled, and he is the flamethrower that the Yankees have been looking for. Oh my God, I love this kid, and I'm so excited to see what he can do in a full season.
He has the presence of a 6 season at least pitcher. And he I also feel that having him as the third game pitcher in the wild card would be the best impact. Especially since and we'll talk about Heel, I'm sure. Oh yeah, we have a category for him. Especially since Warren, to your point, Ciarra is young and still figuring things out, and is either okay or oh no, that ain't it. And Heel, as I always feared, just isn't back yet from his surgery. His arm, his velo is just low. He's low key. Look at me, I'm like a cool kid. He's low key tipping his pitches in the way that he's holding the ball as if he's throwing a fastball when he's really throwing something else, and they caught onto it and benefited off of it. He's had some stuff to work out. So so that's my comments about Heel. I brought him into the conversation of why it needs to be Schlittler. Schlittler's head is on right, and he hasn't missed the mark yet. He had one mediocre game. I'm not even going to say crappy game. One mediocre game in the time since he's been with us. So
yeah. And just one more point on Schlittler before we move on to our next pitcher. So he strikes out 27.6% of the batters he faces and only walks 10.2. I think that's for a rookie pitcher, you could not ask for more. So again, 2026, I'm excited to see more of Cam Schlittler. Lord knows the New York Yankees need him. Our pitching staff can just never get away from injuries. We don't know what's going to happen with Clark Schmidt in the future. Obviously, Marcus Stroman is no longer with us. And Garrett Cole will just be coming back from Tommy John. So before I move on to the next pitcher, because this leads into this guy, I'm very excited to see our top three in our rotation for 2026. On paper, Garrett Cole, Max Fried, and Carlos Rodon, that sounds scary as hell. So, with that being said, Carlos Rodon, I never thought I would see the day where I am putting him as a hot for an entire season. I was his biggest hater from the time he came here. I didn't like his attitude. It's been a roller coaster, right? Like, when he first was signed with the New York Yankees, we expected him to be the number 2 right out the gate for Garrett Cole. But we dealt with injury. We dealt with attitude. I still remember him blowing a kiss to the fans after he had a terrible outing. We saw a different Carlos Rodon this season. He didn't push his coaches off. He didn't get as rattled. Everyone talks about Max Fried and how he leads the league in wins. Carlos Rodon is tied for second in wins with 18. Like, he's right behind him. And he cracked the top 10 for most strikeouts this season at 203. He ends the season in 10th because Freddie Peralta ended up jumping him to 9th. But still, like, that's pretty incredible. And if I'm being honest, I think I would trust Carlos Rodon game 1 over Max Fried at this point in the season. Because Max Fried did have that stretch of 8 games where he looked pretty bad. And I know there was a blister and there were some things going on, but like, Carlos Rodon was so consistent all season. And just the roller coaster that we've gone on the past couple of years to where we are now, like, he really, really, really has earned his spot here in the Bronx.
Yeah, I agree. And never would I have thought. This is why you never say never, everyone, because you end up having to eat your words. And we had so much shade throwing at Carlos Rodon that he really should have, like, completely pure white as snow skin, because we were just so upset with his attitude and his behavior. I still say when he went up to the mountains 2 off seasons ago to get his head straight, that helped, and his wife doesn't hurt either. She keeps him in line, and she keeps the haters in line and away from him. And hey, our friend Donald Stewart is here to say, heck of a run from the Yanks. Feel great about beating Boston. And Mr. Met is down bad. Yeah. Yeah, Yeah. So I feel really good about Rodon. I am not at all mad at a Cole Rodon order and then Freed. I would not be surprised if when Cole first returns, Rodon is first
Mm-hmm.
and Cole second until Cole stretches himself out and readjusts. But he's earned that spot. He is an ace in every way. So I'm with you on that. I jumped on the train right with you on the Rodon thing.
Yeah, and just continuing on. So last and certainly not least, Max Fried stepped into a role where he was not expected coming into this season. He was not expected to be the ace for the New York Yankees. He was supposed to be behind Garrett Cole and either in front of Carlos Rodon or behind him, but there wasn't supposed to be as much pressure. First half of the season, Max Fried gave us a Cy Young performance. Now, he had a bit of a rough stretch, as I pointed out earlier, about 8 games in a row where he was not looking so hot. But again, blisters, whatever. We'll call it what it is. Once he came out of that rough stretch, he went back to the Max Fried we saw in the beginning of the season, and he ended the season with the most wins at 19. Like, that's not something that you can just ignore. Very excited to see Max Fried in the postseason with the New York Yankees. Very excited for 2026. Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, Max Fried, Cam Schlittler. Oh my God, it's gonna be a sexy rotation.
It is. It
just
is.
saying it like I'm just like bring it to me. So that rounds out my who's hot for the season. I think they all very much deserve
Yeah.
it.
And as I said before you started, I'm completely in line with you on the who's hot. Let's talk about who's not for the season. The seasonal version of who's not.
I mean, this should shock nobody, but
And there should be no objections to this, but you will.
and they will be, unfortunately. This has just been the worst performance that I've seen in a long time. Very highly touted prospect from the New York Yankees. You know, he came up his rookie year, he won a Gold Glove. It was 2023. You know, right after the All-Star break, the Yankees were not playing for anything. Aaron Judge was hurt. We had IKF in the outfield. We had Billy McKinney in the outfield. You had Willie Calhoun. I was trying to think of his name. All I could think was Willie Bangs. Willie Calhoun playing the outfield. It was not a good team, right? So Volpe had free reign. Last season, you know, sophomore slump. It's expected, whatever. He did have a good postseason, though. But this season, Volpe, 19 home runs or not, I would have to look at the leaderboard for the errors now. But for most of the season, he led the AL at least. For at one point, I know he led the league. Like, it was pretty bad. And all I have to say is, if he was truly injured, the Yankees didn't do a good job at protecting him or, you know, doing their due diligence. So he can't even use that as an excuse at this point. He just had a terrible season. So unfortunately for me, just a not for the entirety of this season.
Yeah. Yeah, agree on all accounts for Volpe. It was just lightning in the bottle, and I'm not even sure that we didn't have lightning glasses on to see lightning in the bottle. It was a one season wonder, and it wasn't even so full of wonder. And so he's still so young. Maybe he too will, you know, do better in a little bit of a smaller market. And
yeah. I mean, I just double checked. He ended the season tied with Trevor Story from Boston with 19 errors. So they led the AL together, third in the entire league. Fortunately for them, Ellie De La Cruz continues to make errors every single day of his life, but he actually does something offensively, so you can't even make a comparison. With that being said, Austin Wells is also a not for the entirety of the season. Again, should come at no shock to nobody that I'm picking Austin Wells. He is ending the 2025 season with a 219 batting average, 21 home runs, which I just feel like half the time they came when it didn't matter, 275 on base percentage. And honestly, this is what frustrates me the most about Austin Wells. Look at Augustin Ramirez in Miami. The Yankees chose to keep Austin Wells. Now, we gave up Augustin Ramirez for Jazz Chisholm, so I'm not complaining about that. But just think of what could have been if you kept Ramirez and let Wells go at some point. But they get stuck on these people that they're really good at developing catchers for every other team, just not for themselves. So he was a not for the entirety of the season for me.
Yeah, and like we mentioned earlier, catching is going to be a huge look for need in the offseason, because the catchers that they have down below, I don't know that they're in line for a shot. I mean, obviously they'll get a shot in spring trading, but we better strike fast and hard with the trading in the off season. Catching is going to be a position that I would prioritize if we say what we say now and really want to see Rice on first base more so than catcher. I really stand firm in that I don't want him platooning. I really want him to carve out a niche and be one or the other. And my vote, I think we've almost beat this horse to death already, but yeah, he belongs at first base, assuming Goldie is going, and we all seem to have consensus that we think he will be. Okay, and then your third, not.
Okay, so I went with the bullpen in the entirety because it's been such a roller coaster of a ride of a season. So to finish out 2025, the bullpen had a 4.43 ERA, which it's not terrible, but it's not the best. They had 42 saves. So right in the middle, save percentage was about 66.7, which means 1 in 3 save opportunities didn't happen. 21 blown saves, and I believe 9 of those were from Devin Williams. In terms of like overall bullpen for the league, they are 23rd in MLB for ERA. Now, do I think it's fair to put the whole bullpen like on this list? Maybe not. Cruz was pretty good for most of the season. Weaver, for the most part, was strong, but overall, the bullpen was disappointing. So I had to put them there. Just kind of is what it is.
There are some guys in the bullpen that I would have been like, oh no, Ciarra, you're right. Every single one of them, all season long, I wanted them gone. And Lord knows Devin Williams' ear must have been ringing for many a Upper Deck episode. But he has shaped himself up as we approach the end of the season. I think, making some moves and putting him, lower in the order at the bullpen. Am I a fan? No, but he is making some adjustments that have had him looking better. And I also feel like Cruz, who also was out a little bit on the IL, there's still some fine tuning needing there, but that man, I'll say it every show, every time, is a horse. When that arm could break through that ball he releases could break through a cement wall. It certainly sounds like it when he releases it, that's what's going to happen. And he also, sometimes it's just that little mound visit like we saw during today's game that, got him just recalibrated and refocused. I think that he's going to be moving up in the ranks in the bullpen. Bednar was such a huge get, and so I think that where I agree the most have to do with the Al Leiter Juniors and Al Leiter Jr. and Al Leiter Jr. with a dash of Tim Hill, maybe a half a cup of Tim Hill, but I don't think it's a horrendous situation, but certainly not the depth we want, and certainly not the depth with the arms that we want. So catching in bullpen, we now have our number 2 shopping list items already on the list.
So with Mark Leiter Jr., my only hope is that, so last season, so 2024, Mark Leiter Jr. wasn't the greatest. And then postseason, he turned something on. I want to see that out of him this postseason. Like if he can channel what he did last season, MLJ, I think he'll be good. The most frustrating part for this bullpen for me is if you look at the guys in that bullpen on paper, it's a good bullpen. Devin Williams was the best reliever in baseball 2 years in a row. David Bednar going into the All-Star break when we traded for him or whatever, or the trade deadline, was probably the best closer in baseball at that time. Camilo Duvall, phenomenal. Luke Weaver last season, and I think this is where the Yankees screwed up. Luke Weaver was the best one of the best closers last year. Definitely surprised a lot of people. Did his thing. I think, and this is me personally, right? Like I'm not a baseball coach. I'm not a baseball writer. Like this, from the outside perspective, as a fan, I feel like with the guys you have, nobody has a consistent job in the bullpen. You don't have your consistent middle relief guy. You have 3 closers on the roster with Williams, Bednar, and Weaver. Weaver and Williams are both free agents in 2020 at the end of the season and going into 2026. I don't think either one of them are going to get re-signed. Devin Williams definitely isn't getting re-signed. But that rounds out our knots with the bullpen.
Yep. Absolutely. And so John the Beagle Dad, yep. 2 different things. So one is specifically for batting, and MVP is for all around. So,
which he should get both.
Yeah. And I think you had another question earlier that we didn't get to. I apologize. If you remember what it was, put it back down. So the only person I would add as my not is Ryan McMahon.
Oh, yeah.
And so, Donnie Clark, I saw your remarks. I know you're a McMahon fan. It even rhymes. And I don't think he was such a remarkable acquisition. If we're going to wait that long, and it was been a long wait to get third base settled, I would rather we had waited longer and kept platooning and wait for an all-around player than Ryan McMahon. Has he gotten spurts of, a home run? That's pretty cool. Yeah, we saw it today, or was that yesterday? They blend. But it's just not in the cards that he's going to be the production person that we need at third. So that's another need that remains a need. Now Cabrera is reporting that he's feeling great. He's certainly walking around like he used to walk around and doing all the right things with the coaches. But I know that there wasn't like 100% fandom enthusiasm for Cabrera at third, but at least he, yeah, I am looking directly at you. It's kind of hard to know how to do it on camera, but yeah, looking at you, but not just you, Ciarra. So great platoon, great super utility guy. He'll probably go back to that. But that's, what's really going to make that so for you, Ciarra, is, again, what's going to happen in the off season. Because that third base guy is not on our 40-man, nor do I think that they are in AAA or even AA at the moment and ready to come up. So
see, I don't know. So George Lombard Jr. is in AA currently. I could see him make the jump to AAA, but that is more hot stove talk, so I won't go too much into that.
That's exactly what I was thinking about when I said that.
Yeah, so I completely forgot about McMahon. I won't even lie. That's how unimpactful he was for me. George, Jesus. Brian Cashman ignored third base in the offseason. Do you know, that's so frustrating. They finally got rid of Peraza at the trade deadline. Cabrera got hurt, obviously, way before that. They were platooning everybody at third base for the first half. Going into the trade deadline, there wasn't a lot of options. It was McMahon and it was Brian Hayes. I think they made the wrong decision. Now, from their perspective, there's just a goal. It's just a glove at third base. They're just looking at the defense, and he has control. Hopefully, his glove comes in handy because we all know that the Yankees lost the 2025 World Series because of their defense. So if he can make some amazing play to save the game, I can give him a little bit of grace, but I'm with you. He's a not right now.
Right. And yeah, Lombard Jr. is rising like a rocket. And let's see what spring training, comes and shows us with it. Stranger things have happened. So Now the meh, and then we're gonna start wrapping up with the hero of the season. Go with the meh.
Oh.
Uh,
So I forgot somebody in the Hots, and now I feel bad because I just thought about him. But oh well. I forgot Jazz. Love you, Jazz.
Oh yeah. How can we forget Jazz?
For my meh. So the first three guys I put here because they were trade deadline acquisitions. So they weren't bad. They just weren't with the Yankees all season. So Caballero, if he was a Yankee all season, he would 100% be a hot for me. That boy on the bases, he can run. I am so excited to see him steal bases in the postseason. Like, this bench is way deeper than it's been in the past few seasons. So just even having the option to take Volpe out and put Caballero in, I love that for me. I'm gonna run through these quickly because I know we're over time. So also Austin Slater didn't do anything major, but he also hasn't really been here that long. He did get injured right away. It's a New York Yankee thing to do. And Ahmed Rosario, again, got injured right away. It's the New York Yankee thing to do. He wasn't terrible, but he also really hasn't played. So there's not much to go off of. I do love the veteran on the bench going into the postseason. Also, I love this little back and forth battle that him and Dominguez have on who's going to be the first one out of the dugout for a home run and for a win. Like, it's adorable, and I love it. That brings me to Jason Dominguez. Beginning of the season, everybody was kind of like, we don't really think he has good defense. He did improve. He was doing okay offensively. However, you have to go with who is hot. And unfortunately for him, we have a crowded outfield, and you cannot put Bellinger or Grisham or Judge on the bench. You just can't. So I'm going to give him a meh because I just think his entire career, if you call it that, but like just in general, the Yankees have mismanaged him from last season to this season. And he unfortunately finally was getting the full run, and Grisham had his best season of his life. So there's nothing you can do about that. Will Warren, he gave us some good starts. He gave us some bad starts. He's still young. Well, I think you have to give him another season to figure it out. He's just a little inconsistent. Finally, last but not least, Luis Gil. He's back from his injury. His velo is still a little off. Each start has improved, in my opinion. But because we haven't seen him for a full season, I went with a meh.
Okay, so you and I are in line as far as Caballero, Rosario, and I also added Cruz because he has all the stuff to be a hot, but he's just not there yet. I believe he will be. Caballero, I was between hot and meh for him. But I will say, no matter what, if we don't get somebody else, he should be our shortstop. In fact, I don't think they should get anybody else because I think that he should be our shortstop. He has the speed. He has proven himself on the diamond. I had, how many errors has he made since he gotten here? I if there's one, that's a lot, I think. Yeah, he's our shortstop as far as I'm concerned. And Donnie, wish you well. Have a good night. And so other than that, we're right alongside each other. So now let's go to.
I'm excited for this one because I know what people are going to think my answer is. But yeah.
Go ahead. Who's your hero of the season?
So I know every single one of you thought that I was going to say Giancarlo Stanton, who I do love, and he is on his way to Cooperstown. I went with Cody Bellinger. I still cannot believe that the Yankees only gave up Cody Poteet to get Bellinger. Like, that is insane to me. Also, Bellinger, he is a legacy. Like, his dad was here, so it just feels right. But we're talking consistent, clutch. Early in the season, didn't have the greatest plate discipline, but he has turned it around. He has elite level defense, 272 batting average, 29 home runs, 816 OPS, 13 stolen bases, and according to Baseball Savant, a 6 out above average. Elite defense. Like, Cody Bellinger was a difference maker for me. I need him in pinstripes next season.
I need him there too. And so I support your choice. And I support your making that choice so much that I took Giancarlo Stanton. Which is good because we shouldn't agree through all three categories. It start look really suspicious. And John the Beagle Dad's getting hungry, so I'm going to be brief. So it should come as no surprise that I would pick Stanton, which coming into today's game, he has a 272 average, 24 home runs, 65 RBIs, and a 0.945 OPS, which, by the way, for those of us that aren't sure what that number translates into, he's elite and just shy of super duper, you're the man elite. And as we saw during the week, he has hit his 450th home run, smashing all kinds of records in that way. 50 left to go. And even if 50, next 50 doesn't happen when he has to go, I still think that he will be on the ballot in 5 years after he retires. So, but he has been the hero. He stood up and stepped up and showed out when Judge went down. He's not comfortable playing the field. We weren't comfortable with him playing the field. But you know what? For Stanton, he did a really good job. And that arm that is a cannon, when his bat is involved, that strength also translated well with his throwing arm. And he got some balls to home plate right quick, as they say down south, and got some outs. So he'll never be your speedster. He'll never be he's not going to tumble for you. He's not Boy George. But he is going to, that's an old reference. Some people in the chat will get it. But yeah, he is my hero of the season. And the only reason I didn't choose Aaron Judge is because I feel like it's redundant.
Oh, 100%.
He's everybody's hero.
Listen, so Stanton not only hit his 450th home run. So think about every person who's ever played Major League Baseball. So you're talking about a 26 roster across 30 teams. That's a lot of people. He's only the 42nd player to reach 450 home runs. He is the only active player in MLB with 450 or more home runs. Like, that is an incredible feat in itself. He has more than solidified who he is in the baseball world. And with what's left on his contract, 25 home runs next season, 25 home runs the season after, guaranteed to get into Cooperstown.
Yep. I can't wait. I'm ready now. So as we're wrapping up now, let's revisit Spencer's trivia question of the week. Got to put my glasses on for this. Okay. Game 162 began with questions. Will the Yankees win the AL East? Will they play a wild card series? The answer is B, wild card series. They were in a similar position for game 162 in 2021. This time, a second wild card spot was at stake. But first, they had to face the Red Sox at Fenway and win their spot in that second wild card series. The Yankees did win 1-0 thanks to a walk-off winning run. Which Yankee scored that winning run? And I want to say there were two correct answers that I saw above. So congratulations to FJ and Karen. The answer is Tyler Wade, the man with the beautiful hair. I have to make sure I let Penny know that this was the answer this week. Yeah, Tyler Wade. Thumbs up from Ciarra. She'll talk about that another day. And so that's our answer. And thanks to Spencer as always. And so no, we're not missing that, Mr. Barros. We just don't agree. We actually increased Boone's grades for the overall season based on what we've been seeing lately.
For me, this postseason will be the determining factor for me with Boone.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. That's what's left to learn, right? Is how we go facing into the wild card and beyond. So that's a wrap for Ciarra and me. Friends in the chat, It's been a great season with you. I look forward, and Ciarra looks forward. I know I'm speaking for her, but that's okay, right?
Yeah.
I'm tired and not thinking.
It's okay.
We can't wait to get into the postseason stuff with you. So you will hopefully be back next Sunday, where we'll have the outcome and what's next for the Yankees, which will hopefully be more baseball. So enjoy your week. Take time off early from your day job, because pregame is at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, and the game starts after that. As always, you have a reserve seat with Ciarra and me right here on the upper deck. And let's go, first place Yankees.